Hello and welcome to Amrita Civil Service Academy. This is the second in the series of the current affair program that we are presenting on our YouTube channel. The topic for today is probably a very interesting one, and that is the topic of the global trade war. Now, what is this trade war? Now, trade war is going to be a competitive method in which US and China are going to fight with each other with respect to tariffs. Now, it brings us to a fundamental question: what is this tariff? Now, tariff, my friends, is something which is a tax which is imposed on the import of certain any goods to your country. So this used to be a very huge tariff. You remember in earlier times in India, we had very few foreign cars. Why? Because the price was very high. Now, why is the price very high? Price was very high probably because the tariff rates was very high. Now it brings us to a fundamental question: what exactly are these kind of instruments with which our economy really regulates the inflow of the foreign goods? It could be tariffs, it could be quota, it could be the methods like dumping, and how are the government trying to tackle with it? It's called as the anti-dumping duties, it is called as the countervailing duties, and on a broader perspective you have to understand what exactly is happening in WTO. Now this video, my friends, I'm not going to speak about these. But I strongly suggest you pause the video. If you don't know what the kind of terms which I said, please go read it in the Wikipedia and come back again. Have you done it? Cool. Okay, now what is this global trade war? See, US imports certain goods, it also exports certain goods. The fundamental idea of any country would be, to export more and import less. Even though as flawed as it might be, as sound as it might sound, it is a very flawed idea. We'll explain about this. Can anyone explain that below in the comment section below? It will be a very interesting discussion to probably have. Now, if you actually see the economic condition of US right now, the trade deficit of US is $566 billion US dollar. And out of this $566 billion US dollar, if you see, 365 or so billion US dollar is with China alone. That means US imports hell lot of things from China, one single country. And that is going to have a serious repercussions in US economy. Now, many people are very skeptical about this idea because there are certain structural problems with the Chinese economy. It is basically with respect to the FDI control, the foreign direct investment that the American companies are going to put into China, that is restricted. And there's also something regarding IPR, the intellectual property rights, wherein Chinese companies have been, Chinese government has been forcefully trying to get the trade secrets from the American companies. So this has caused a very serious problem. And many US presidents have been trying to tackle this issue with China. Some had done with respect to diplomatic efforts, bring the ambassadors there, the trade officials there, the US representative of trade and the WTO organizations. People have done almost a lot of things in this respect, but all of them has failed. But right now, Donald Trump is going to use a particular method, which is the tariff method. Basically, what he's trying to do is that he's going to slap a lot of tariff in the kind of goods which is going to come from from China into US, and thereby arm twisting China. So this is a very interesting thing. Now, the question which I have to ask is that, what are the repercussions of such a trade war between countries? It is going to have serious repercussions. Like, the economic repercussions are going to be the most pronounced one. Now, what do I mean by that? We are going to see a disruption of the supply chain. So, see, imagine how is you're using a computer right now to watch this. But probably if you could say, if you're using a Mac, it is made in it's an American company. But does Apple make the whole thing in America? No. They make it in China, but does all the thing come from China? No. A couple of things come from Vietnam, the Southeast Asian countries. The LED displays might be domestically placed. The software might be coming from India. The semiconductor industries might be coming from probably Japan, where they have huge rare earth metals and such kind of many other. So basically, what I'm trying to say is that different equipments, different components are going to be at different places, and these are going to be assembled in one place. So this is what is called as a supply chain. Now, when the tariffs are going to come, this supply chain is going to be broken. So that is a very big concern, isn't it? Right. Now let's think about the political spillovers. These political spillovers are going to be very, very crucial here, because you're going to see a diplomatic maneuvering which is going to be happening in certain spaces are going to be very restricted. You can see, you might be going more closer to China, the Russian interest might be different, the Iran interest might be getting influence here, the Indian interest might be getting influence here. Basically, this topic of trade wars is going to have a spillover in the economics and the political and the diplomatic circles of the world. And finally, to understand this properly, we really have to understand the history of such a topic. That is exactly what we are going to do. But before we jump into this topic, let me make you understand what exactly is this tariff method. See, as I said, as we speak itself, you can see in a couple of months before, US has slapped a tariff of on $34 billion on the Chinese imports. So is Chinese going to be happy with that? Definitely not. Chinese are going to impose tariff on the similar amount of money on the American imports into China. So that's going to be a problem. Now let's understand the article of trade. What basically USA tries to trade is that USA is going to send their machines, their automobile, their computers, so these are the machines, automobile, computer, LEDs. These are the kind of things that what America is going to import from China into their economy. At the same time, from China, what are they going to import from US? They are going to take soybean. Now, soybean is something which is very, very important, because Chinese diet has a strong component of pork. They eat pork a lot. Now, soybean from US is basically given as a thing, as a feed to the pigs there. So that's why soybean is a huge thing which really affects the dietary habits of the Chinese, the pork, chicken, sugar, etc. So basically you can see what are the kind of articles which has been transacted. But right now US has imposed let's say around 10% of tariff on Chinese imports. So but wait, we have to really understand. We have always heard that USA is a country which is the most important proponent of the free trade. Now, why would US do something like this on a country which is obstructing the free trade? So that is a big question we have to answer. Basically, it's not about two different countries fighting it out. Rather, it is a fight between two ideologies. It's a fight between protectionism and the free market. It's a fight between two important personalities and ideas, as that of Keynes and that of Hayek. It's a fight between mercantilism and world trade. It's a fight between colonialism and the free world. So basically, this picture of global trade war, it is not basically a simple picture on the canvas between US and China. Rather, it's a much deeper question. And if you really want to know about this, you really have to understand the history of the world trade. And that, my friends, is what I'm going to present to you. Now, why is this important for you in your syllabus? Because in GS1, in the world history section, this topic could come. In GS2, in international relation topics, this could come. In GS3, in the economic angle, this problem could come. And what is the influence of this world trade on Indian economy? This question could come. In GS4, it could come with respect to ethics in the international relations. Probably this was a question in 2014 mains, I guess. And then, in essay topic, it could come, and basically interview. So basically, the spillover of this happening topic is so huge. So I suggest you sit tight and understand the first part, which is the economic history of the world when it comes to free trade. Now, where do we begin? We would begin our history from the age of discovery with respect to Columbus and Vasco da Gama. See, this Columbus and Vasco da Gama, when they went to different places discovering America, when Vasco da Gama came to India to discover, he came to Calicut and discovered India. So what happened is that this opened up a chain where people were going to transact their goods and with respect to their money. Now, money, like for example, what good is the US pound in India? So basically, they used to trade in gold. Now, gold and silver was the important article with which people traded. Now, that is why, my friends, we have a concept called as bullion. What is a bullion? The bullion is something which is gold or silver. So basically, the British used to come with gold and silver to India. They used to trade, get all the finished goods, for example, the Indian clothes, the ivory products, and they should take back to the UK. And what do they give to India? They're going to give the bullions, basically the gold and silver. So this is the idea which was really dictating how the world trade functions, bullionism. Because bullion, the gold and silver were moving out of their home country, they said, this is dangerous. If you don't do trade properly, all the gold and silver from from England is going to come to India. So that is when they understood this bullionism is something which is very important. We have to conserve our stock of the gold and silver, and with respect to that, they introduced a new concept which is called as a mercantilism. Now, mercantilism is an idea which says that you have to export more and import less, right? So this is what the East India Company followed in India. Basically, you can sum it up by the beggar thy neighbor. That is the idea of mercantilism. So first you had bullionism, then you had mercantilism. Now mercantilism really wanted you to really be strong and the other party to be very weak. Because of this mercantilism, you have colonialism coming in. Colonialism is what? Imperialism coming in. So basically, they are going to have a unilateral free trade, the unilateralism as we call it. So basically, you have a bullionism, which caused something called the mercantilism. Now, because of mercantilism, you have a imperialism, and from imperialism, you have a colonialism. I hope that is clear to you. And because of this, you can see British were really prospering. Now, when British was really prospering, they also had trade with America, and they were really squeezing the wealth out of America, and that is why a reactionism against this mercantilist policy of UK was manifested in form of the Great American Revolution of 1773. As you can see, the British have been really trying to strangle the American economy with the help of, the Sugar Act, the Molasses Act, the Navigation Act. Basically, they were trying to, restrict the Americans to do the trade. So because of that, a colonialism really was pushed to a point where Americans could not tolerate, and that is why the first American president, George Washington, said about the importance of economic importance before the political importance. So basically, what are they trying to do? They're going to chuck away the British basically because of their mercantilist policy. And that is when the whole idea of economic independence scheme. See, now British had really destroyed the internal economy of Americans. So Americans said, no, we are not going to take any more British goods here. We are going to make our own goods here, and we are going to protect our industry. Because think of it, because American industries are so naive and so nascent, and they will not be able to compete with the well-developed industries of UK. So they said, no more import from UK. We are going to stop it there. We are going to develop our own domestic industries. And that is when the protectionism started. Now, what is this protectionism? Protectionism is the idea of saving your own industry by restricting the foreign inflow of goods. So this is what protectionism. Be very careful. We are giving in a lot of terms. We are speaking about bullionism, we are speaking about colonialism, imperialism, protectionism, all of this we are speaking. So I hope you are getting the idea of it. Right. Now, because of this protectionism policy, they enacted something called the Tariff Act of 1789. Basically, what it means is that they are going to raise tariff for the British goods. Basically, whenever British goods is coming, they are going to say, I'm going to charge like 20% on it. So basically, what if the 100 US pound, UK pound is going to come, pound sterling is going to come to UK, it is going to be 120 pound. Can you see the kind of tax which they are going to introduce? So basically, they are trying to discourage the British import into America. So that is the reason why the Americans really started flourishing. They were really able to get additional revenue for the state, and also the local industries started thriving. But again, there's a huge disparity here. Now, what I mean by huge disparity here, the northern places in America was really industrialized. At the same time, in southern places of America was very agriculture dominated. But the agriculture is one thing which, this Americans were doing international trade. But because of this tariff rates, what happened is that the South was not able to export their thing, which means it brought a conflict between the North and South, and that is exactly what happened in 1861 to 1865, which is basically the American Civil War. It was the North and South which is fighting it. Normally, you would have heard that, the American Civil War was basically with respect to the issue of slavery, but there is also a strong economic angle to it, which is based on the protectionism principle that was followed by the Americans because of the 1789 Tariff Acts. But as you know, the North won the case, the industrialized people won the case, and Abraham Lincoln, I hope you remember about Abraham Lincoln and what happened in the American Civil War. But basically, the protectionist trend started continuing in America. The next big thing which is happening in the world is the World War I, which happened from 1914 onwards. So that is something which really, changed the world. And that is which really pushed America closer to Europe. And because of this, what we can see, as the World War came to an end, you can see, the Treaty of Versailles which happened, and the whole economic system was getting revamped. But for some reason, there's something called as a Great Depression which had happened in 1929. Now this was a very great dream come true for the Marxists of the world, because they really told that, okay, see, this is why capitalism is going to fail. The extent of this Great Depression was so disastrous that everybody became afraid of this whole concept called as free trade, the global trade. And because of this, you can see many countries like US, UK, you see Americans, the British were the first set of people who have always spoken and emphasized on this one concept called as the free trade, and they said no more free trade. So that is a very watershed moment in the world where people are going to move against this whole concept called as the world trade. And because of this, you can see the European markets fell, the Americans faced the issue, and the only set of people who really seemed to survive this thing was the Russians, who were really using something called as a controlled, planned economy. So that is the rise of a new idea, which is the Keynesian economics. Now, you can see one side, as we can earlier said, we spoke about the Adam Smith and the free market economics and the invisible hand in the market. So this thing was no more valid in the world. Rather, what we see is the active state intervention in the economy, and that is exactly what Keynes, John Maynard Keynes advocated for. So that is why you can see there was an anti-globalization trend, an anti-free trade trend, and now what we see is a more protectionist trend in the world. And that is what you can see 1930 became a very interesting year in the world. But basically you can say, like Keynesian mode of economics is very protectionist kind of policy which we can see in the world. Now, how did US respond to all of this? US responded to this by something called as a Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act of 1930. Basically, the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act of 1930 is simply increasing the tariff rate. Now, they thought they're going to protect their industries more and they're going to be more stronger economically. But in fact, what had happened is that economy of US started spiraling down, and that is when the president at that point of time, President Roosevelt understood the issue, and he, along with Secretary of State Cordell Hull, he understood that we have to reduce the tariff, and that is why we can see a permanent solution of this tariff reduction was formed in form of the Reciprocal Trade Agreement Act of 1934. Now, what is this Reciprocal Trade Agreement? Basically, it means that if one country reduces the tariff, the US also is going to reduce the tariff. If one country increases the tariff, they are going to increase the tariff. So basically, with respect to many bilateral relations, what US was able to do is that they were able to bring down the tariff. So that is a very important thing. If you actually see in 1930s, the average tariff rate was around 60%. My friend, 60%. That means if you buy something from UK and you bring it to in US, if it would have costed you £100 in UK, the same thing would have costed you £160 in US. See the huge amount of money which was shelled. But right now in 1980s, when you can see this money had really become around 5.7% in 1980s. And right now if you see, it is around 3%, 2%, 3%. It's very less. There are certain exceptions which WTO speaks about, but by and large what you can see is that the tariff rates and the average tariff rate in the world has really come down from a 60% in 1930 to a 5% in 1980, and right now 2% or something in the current context. So how did this happen? This basically happened because after the First World War, there is something called as GATT. GATT is General Agreements on Trade and Tariffs. This happened in 1947, immediately after the World War II had finished. And because of this, US being the most important power, they were able to push their agenda. What is the pushing their agenda? Basically, with the help of the Bretton Woods institutions like the World Bank, like the IMF, US was able to make sure that the tariffs of the world are going to come down. Basically, we are going to go ahead with this free trade. Right? And again, WTO was slowly get warmed up. So you have different rounds. Basically, there's something called the Kennedy round in 1960s. You have a Tokyo round in 1970s. You have a Uruguay round in 1980s. And 1980s became the important year because you slowly see that communism, which was the most important idea which was floating around in the world from 1917 all the way till 1980, communism slowly started deteriorating. The communist countries, especially Russia, slowly started deteriorating.
That is why you can see in 1994 there is something called as NAFTA, North American Free Trade Agreement between different countries of America.
And slowly you can see EU is going to come, the disintegration of USSR, the fall of Berlin Wall. You can slowly see the free trade was really going to take its high path in 1990s. We can see our own country, India. We have opened our economy in 1991. So basically what happened is this issue. This is the whole idea what we can see. So basically now what we can see is that globalization was working in a full-fledged manner. So if I could just recap, we are going to spoke about age of discovery, Vasco da Gama and Columbus, their discovery of America and India. Because of this, they had something called as a big global trade happening. Because of global trade happening, they were really worried about the bullions getting out from their hand. So because of that, a new doctrine of Booleanism was formed. Because of Booleanism, the new idea of mercantilism was formed. Because of mercantilism, the idea of imperialism was formed. Because of the idea of imperialism, colonialism was formed, and the idea of unilateral free trade was born. And because of that, the whole world was going into a free trade mode. And then this really stopped in during the First World War and the aftermath of it, which is basically the Great Depression. From 1930, you are going to see free trade movement, which is with respect to the protectionist principles and the Keynesian economy really taking over. And because of this, American they formed a cultural institutions, economic institution with respect to the institutions like the World Bank and IMF. And because of this, you can see the idea of the free trade, which is pushed again by the WTO, because also aided by the disintegration of USSR and the fall of protectionism. But right now things are slowly changing. Why things are slowly changing? Because the economic dominance that US had really set up in the world is really changing now, and China is really contesting them. How are the Chinese contesting them? By forming something called a New Development Bank, the Asian Infrastructure Investment by AIIB, and because of this, they are really threatening all this idea of New Development Bank and the Asia Infrastructure Investment Bank. And slowly, because of this hegemonic force of US being compromised, US is retaliating in form of the tariff method. So this is the basic historical understanding of the free trade movement, and the free trade and the idea of the global trade which is happening, and the reversal which is happening because of the US actions against Chinese. So with this we come an end to the part 1 of the series, and stay tuned for the part 2. Thank you. Have a nice day.